Good evening, dear listeners. I am your host at Haunted Lullabies, the channel dedicated to bringing you the spookiest tales that will keep you up at night. Here, we delve into the mysterious, the unexplained, the eerie, and the downright terrifying. We take you on a journey through the shadows, exploring chilling accounts that will set your imagination alight. Our stories are not for the faint-hearted. They are for those who like to flirt with fear, and for those who find a strange comfort in the goosebumps that our tales provide. We invite you to immerse yourself in the world of the supernatural, the paranormal, and the downright creepy. Hello there, I'm Alex, and I've got a tale for you that's likely to make your blood run cold. You see, I've always had a penchant for the road less traveled. The allure of historic hotels, with their grandeur and stories steeped in time, have always drawn me in. On one such journey, I found myself at the doorstep of a charming old hotel, a relic of a bygone era. The staff, as friendly as they were, presented me with a key to room 333. They said it with a certain hesitation, a flicker of something I couldn't quite place in their eyes. But, being an adventurer at heart, I shrugged off their trepidation and accepted the key. Little did I know that room 333 was not just another number, but a doorway to an experience that would chill me to my very core. I accepted the key without a second thought, unknowing of the experience that awaited me. As the evening fell, I settled into the antique four-poster bed in room 333, ready for a good night's sleep. The room was steeped in history, the walls echoing tales of yesteryears, and I felt a sense of anticipation, an eagerness to become a part of its story. However, as the hours ticked by, the room began to reveal its eerie side. The deafening silence of the night was broken by faint whispers, ghostly murmurs that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the room. I dismissed it initially, convincing myself it was nothing more than the wind playing tricks, or perhaps the chatter of late-night revelers in a distant room. But then, the whispers grew clearer, more distinct. They seemed to be discussing secrets, sharing laughter that sent chills running down my spine. It was as though I had stumbled upon a spectral gathering, an assembly of unseen entities engaged in their nocturnal discourse. Unnerved, I reached out to switch on the bedside lamp, hoping the soft glow would dispel the growing sense of dread. But as my hand moved, the air around me turned icy cold. It was an unnatural chill, the kind that seeps into your bones and freezes your very soul. I wrapped myself in the thick duvet, attempting to ward off the cold, but it was relentless. The whispers seemed to grow louder, surrounding me, their ghostly laughter echoing in my ears. It was then that I saw it. In the dim light that filtered through the heavy drapes, there was a figure, a shadowy silhouette standing at the foot of my bed. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, a malevolent gaze that held me captive. The room seemed to close in on me, the walls pressing down, the whispers gaining momentum. The whispers became clearer, and I felt an icy coldness envelop me. I tried to shake off the fear, but then I saw it. What transpired in room 333 still haunts my dreams. It's an experience that has left me questioning the existence of the supernatural. There, at the foot of my bed, stood a shadowy figure, its eyes glowing with an unnatural, malevolent light. I blinked, expecting it to be a trick of the light, a product of my weary mind. But it remained, a terrifying apparition that seemed to consume the darkness around it. I tried to move, to flee from this spectral intruder, but I was locked in place, my body refusing to obey my panicked brain. The figure was tall, its form indistinct, wavering like smoke. It was as if the very shadows in the room had coalesced into a humanoid shape. Its eyes, though, they were terrifyingly clear, twin orbs of a sickly green light that seemed to pierce through the darkness, cutting straight into my soul. I could feel the cold gaze of the entity, a chilling sensation that seemed to freeze my blood in my veins. The whispers grew louder now, a cacophony of voices that seemed to echo around the room, bouncing off the antique furniture and the grand ornate walls. The voices were unintelligible, but their tone was unmistakable. They were not of this world. The whispers seemed to be coming from the figure itself, a chilling symphony of the supernatural. I could feel the temperature in the room dropping even further, an icy chill that seemed to seep into my bones. My breath came out in small white puffs, the air around me freezing. I could see my own breath, but I could not tear my gaze away from the figure at the foot of my bed. The figure didn't move, didn't make a sound, but its presence was oppressive. a weight on my chest that made it hard to breathe. I could feel the air around me growing thick, heavy with a sense of dread that was almost tangible. The figure seemed to be watching me, its glowing eyes never leaving my face. I was frozen in fear, staring at this spectral figure that seemed to be looking right through me. The terror of that moment is etched into my memory, a chilling reminder of the night I came face to face with the supernatural. The rest of the night was a blur. I remember packing my things and fleeing the hotel at the earliest light of dawn. I left room 333 and its spectral inhabitant behind, the echoes of their whispers still ringing in my ears. In the stark light of day, I tried to rationalize the events of the night. The whispers could have been other guests, the figure a trick of the light. But the chill in my bones, the fear in my heart, that was real. I couldn't deny the raw terror that gripped me in the confines of that room. It was a journey into the unknown, a brush with the inexplicable. It was as if I'd stumbled upon a thread of the supernatural, woven into the fabric of reality, and tugged at it. The experience left me with more questions than answers. Is there another world that exists parallel to ours, unseen but always there? Are there beings that inhabit this world, occasionally crossing over into our realm? I had never given much thought to these questions before, but after that night, I couldn't help but entertain these thoughts. In the aftermath of the incident, I found myself compelled to share the story. Perhaps it was an attempt to make sense of it all, or maybe it was a way to validate my experience. I wanted people to know about room 333 and its eerie inhabitant, to understand that there are things in this world that defy explanation. The haunting of room 333 has profoundly impacted my perception of the world. It has instilled in me a sense of curiosity and a healthy respect for the unknown. I have come to accept that there are mysteries that are beyond our comprehension, experiences that challenge our understanding of the world, and perhaps even the nature of reality itself. To this day, the haunting of room 333 remains etched in my memory, a chilling reminder of the night I came face to face with the unknown. Greetings, I'm Sarah, and I have a truly unsettling story to share. It began in the lavish surroundings of a high-end hotel, a place where luxury and comfort should have been the order of the day. I was on a week-long business trip, a seasoned traveler unfazed by the transient nature of hotel life. Upon my arrival, the receptionist handed me the key to Suite 1313, a room shrouded in whispers of bizarre occurrences and strange events. Now, I've always been a pragmatic sort, dismissing such rumors as mere hotel folklore, the kind of tales designed to give a place a bit of mystique. So I thanked the receptionist, took the key, and headed up to the suite. As I stepped into the room, I was met with the essence of luxury, little knowing that beneath the surface, something inexplicable was waiting. Little did I know, I was about to experience the inexplicable. At first, everything appeared perfectly normal. I'd retire to my sumptuous suite after long days of meetings, sinking into the plush bed with a sigh of relief. The first few nights were uneventful, the quiet broken only by the distant hum of the city below. But then, things took a turn. It began subtly. I'd leave a pen on the desk only to find it on the other side of the room. My suitcase, once neatly packed, would be in disarray, as if someone had rummaged through it. These peculiarities were unsettling, yet I dismissed them as mere coincidences, the product of scattered thoughts and long hours. But as the nights wore on, the oddities became impossible to ignore. I'd wake up in the dead of night to hushed whispers, seemingly coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. Try as I might, I couldn't decipher the words, the voices fading as soon as I'd strain to listen. One night, a chilling draft swept the room, rattling the windows and making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I was enveloped in a cold unlike any other, a cold that seemed to seep into my bones. I pulled the covers tighter around me, a sense of dread gnawing at the pit of my stomach. It was then that I began to question the reality of Suite 1313's reputation. Was I merely imagining things, or was I truly experiencing the supernatural? Only time would tell. One night I awoke to a bone-chilling sight. It was as if the darkness of the room had coalesced into a form, a shape at the end of my bed. In the faint moonlight seeping through the curtains, I could discern a figure, a spectre with its arm outstretched towards me, The air turned frigid, and I could see my breath fogging in front of me. An intense cold gripped the room, the kind of cold that sinks deep into your bones, making your teeth chatter and your body shiver. This wasn't the comfortable chill of an air-conditioned room. It was a cold that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the abyss itself. The figure was barely visible, like a wisp of smoke, yet unmistakably there. A vague silhouette, neither solid nor entirely ethereal. Its hand, spectral and translucent, reached out in my direction. I could almost feel the chill of its touch, even though it was still a distance away. I was frozen in place, not from the cold, but from pure, unadulterated fear. The room was silent, save for the deafening drumming of my own heartbeat. I could hear nothing else, not even the usual hum of the city below. It was as if the world had ceased to exist beyond the confines of Suite 1313. I felt a sense of dread, the kind that wraps around you like a shroud, making it hard to breathe. It was a feeling of being watched, of being the focus of something beyond comprehension, something ancient, something cold, something not of this world. The apparition remained for what felt like an eternity, its cold, spectral hand outstretched towards me, its form flickering like a candle in the wind. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it dissolved into the darkness, leaving behind a room that felt emptier than before. But the cold remained, a chilling reminder of the encounter. This was no simple hotel folklore, it was real. The horrors of Suite 1313 were not just stories to be shared over a late-night drink. I had experienced them firsthand, a chilling encounter with the unknown that will forever haunt my dreams. I knew I couldn't stay another night. The realization hit me like a chilling gust of wind. I hastily gathered my belongings, every rustle of fabric and clink of metal seeming unnaturally loud in the oppressive silence of Suite 1313. The room, once a symbol of luxury, was now a cage that I yearned to escape. I made my way to the front desk, my heart pounding in my chest like a frenzied drum. The receptionist gave me a puzzled look as I insisted on checking out immediately, but I didn't bother explaining. How could I put into words the terror that Suite 1313 had instilled in me? Stepping out of the hotel felt like breaking the surface after being submerged in dark, icy waters. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a warm golden glow on the city. It was a stark contrast to the cold, spectral presence I had left behind. As my cab sped away, I couldn't help but glance back at the grand facade of the hotel. It stood there, innocently basking in the dawn light, its dark secrets hidden behind a veil of opulence. The relief of escape was overwhelming, yet it was tainted with a lingering fear. It clung to me like a shroud, a constant reminder of the apparition I had encountered. The spectral hand reaching out to me, the hushed whispers in the night. They had become a part of me, a chilling memory that would follow me long after I had left Suite 1313. I went on with my life, my travels leading me to different cities, different hotels. Yet, every time I checked into a new place, I couldn't help but feel a shiver of fear. The memory of Suite 1313 was a ghost that haunted me, a chilling tale that was now a part of my own history. Suite 1313 was a chapter of my life I wished to close forever. Yet, it was a story that needed to be told, a warning to those who may find themselves faced with a choice: to ignore the legends or to heed them. It's a reminder that sometimes the things that go bump in the night are more real than we'd like to admit. Now, picture this: a grand historic hotel, cloaked in timeless elegance. Imagine the gilded chandeliers casting a soft glow, the polished mahogany furniture oozing sophistication, and the high, ornate ceilings whispering tales of a bygone era. That's where I found myself one evening, ready to soak in the charm of this architectural marvel. I'm Mark, an occasional traveler with an affinity for the old-world charm of historic hotels. This one was no different, with its rich history and opulent decor that transported me back in time. The moment I stepped in, I was enveloped by a sense of intrigue, a feeling that this hotel held more secrets than it was willing to divulge. I checked in, eager to experience its timeless elegance, oblivious to the uncanny events that awaited me. Little did I know my stay would soon take an eerie turn. On my floor, a peculiar figure caught my eye: the housekeeper. She was a slight woman, often seen in the dimly lit corridors, her face hidden beneath a heavy shroud of silvery hair. There was an air of antiquity about her, as if she were an integral part of the hotel's long history, a silent sentinel of its secrets. Day after day I observed her, her movements as rhythmic as a clock, yet shrouded in an enigma. An old tarnished keyring always jingled at her waist, a haunting melody in the hushed silence of the hotel. It was a peculiar sight, one that stirred a sense of unease within me. Yet I was drawn to this mysterious figure, a moth to a flame. Her strangest habit was her muttering. Whenever she passed, a low, indistinct murmur echoed down the hallways. It was as if she were carrying on a conversation with the hotel itself, whispering tales of the past, of joy, sorrow, and secrets buried deep within the old walls. One night, curiosity gnawed at my senses. I ventured out of my room, drawn by the faint jingle of her keyring. I followed the sound, my heart pounding in my chest. I turned a corner and saw her standing before a door, a room supposedly closed for renovations. The key turned in the lock and the door creaked open. I stood frozen, my curiosity now mingling with a growing sense of dread. What was this room? Why was she sneaking into it in the dead of night? I knew I shouldn't have, but I couldn't resist my curiosity. I decided to follow her inside. Little did I know, the secrets that lay beyond would be beyond terrifying. The chilling discovery I made about the housekeeper still haunts my thoughts. It's a secret I wish I'd never uncovered. Intrigued, I decided to follow her into the room. The room was shrouded in an eerie silence, a stark contrast to the rest of the bustling hotel. The air was heavy with anticipation, like the calm before a storm. The room felt different somehow. It was as if stepping into this room was stepping into another world, a world veiled in a chilling mystery. The housekeeper moved around the room with practiced ease, as if she'd done this 1,000 times before. Her muttering grew louder, her words a haunting melody that filled the room. The dim light from the hallway cast long, grotesque shadows on the walls, making the room seem even more frightening. I watched her from the doorway, my heart pounding in my chest, my breath hitching in my throat. I felt like an intruder, stepping into a world I was not meant to see. But my curiosity was insatiable, driving me deeper into the room, closer to the chilling truth. As I moved further into the room, I could see something that didn't belong. An object of such terrifying significance that it seemed to suck the air out of the room. The housekeeper's muttering grew louder, her words echoing in my head, amplifying the fear coursing through my veins. The room seemed to close in around me, the walls pressing closer, the ceiling dropping lower. The silence was deafening, the air thick with fear. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, my breath coming in short, ragged gasps. It felt like the room was alive, watching me, waiting for me to uncover its secrets. The housekeeper turned to leave, her job done. As she exited the room, she locked the door behind her, leaving me alone in the room, alone with the chilling discovery I'd made. The room seemed to pulse around me, the shadows dancing in the dim light, the silence echoing in my ears. What I found in that room was beyond terrifying. It was a discovery that would haunt my dreams, a secret that would forever change the way I viewed the world. It was a secret I wished I'd never uncovered, a truth I wished I'd never found. I stood there, frozen, as I tried to comprehend what lay before me. The room, bathed in a spectral glow, was a chilling tableau of the past. Its walls, once resplendent with vibrant hues, now bore the scars of time. But it wasn't the room's physical state that gripped me with icy fear. It was what occupied its center. A single antiquated chair sat in the middle of the room, its back facing me. And there, bound to the chair by chains of tarnished silver, was a figure. A figure that bore an uncanny resemblance to the housekeeper. Only this figure was lifeless, a mere spectre of the woman who roamed the hotel's hallways. My heart pounded in my chest, its rhythm echoing ominously in the silence. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I took a step back, my mind reeling with questions. Who was this woman? How could she be here, in this room, and yet still roam the corridors of the hotel? But then, the figure stirred. A low guttural moan filled the room, reverberating around the cold stone walls. A sound that was not of this world. a sound that brought with it a wave of terror that washed over me, chilling me to my very core. I turned to flee, but found my legs refusing to obey. It was as if I were rooted to the spot, a captive audience to the horror unfolding before me. But the will to survive is a powerful thing. With a burst of adrenaline, I tore myself from the room, the spectral moan still ringing in my ears. As I emerged from the hotel, the cool night air hit me like a soothing balm. But the terror of what I witnessed was not so easily erased. That chilling discovery, the haunting figure bound in chains, the spectral moan, they were all etched into my memory, a terrifying reminder of the hotel's sinister secret. The chilling discovery I made about the housekeeper still haunts my thoughts. It's a secret I wish I'd never uncovered. My name's Lisa, and I'm a city dweller with a fondness for staycations in local hotels. There's something about escaping from the daily grind, even if it's just a few blocks away. On this particular weekend, I'd set my sights on a sophisticated high-rise hotel that had recently opened. Its sleek design, luxurious amenities, and state-of-the-art technology had been the talk of the town. The prospect of a relaxing weekend in such a stylish setting filled me with anticipation. The moment I walked into the hotel, I was welcomed by the cool, modern aesthetic and the subtle hum of technology. Checking in was a breeze, and the friendly hotel staff handed me a keycard that held the promise of a tranquil retreat. As I made my way to the elevator, I was eager to unwind in my room, blissfully unaware of the harrowing experience that awaited me. I stepped into the elevator, ready to ascend to my room. The soft glow from the overhead lights cast a warm hue over the polished steel interior. The silence was broken by the gentle hum of the elevator, a mechanical lullaby that resonated with the promise of modern comfort. I pressed the button for my floor, and with a soft sigh, the elevator began its ascent. The smooth glide of the machine, the faint whirring of gears, it was all so familiar, so utterly mundane. I leaned against the cool metal wall, the day's exhaustion weighing heavily on my shoulders. I watched as the numbers on the display panel blinked, counting up the floors with mechanical precision. The anticipation of a quiet evening in my luxurious room made my heart flutter with excitement. But as I stood there, the elevator's comforting hum turned into a deep, ominous drone. As the doors closed, I looked forward to a peaceful evening, unaware of the terrifying journey that lay ahead. But then, something strange happened. The elevator began to descend, far beyond the ground floor. As the doors closed behind me, the soft hum of the elevator filled the quiet space. The polished chrome buttons glowed with a soft blue light, and I pressed the button for my floor. But instead of ascending, the elevator jolted and started its descent. The display above the door flickered, then showed a negative number. I blinked in disbelief as the elevator plunged deeper, descending into an abyss unknown to the hotel's blueprints. The numbers continued to tumble, each one a step further from the familiar, a step deeper into the uncharted. -5, -10, -15. My heart pounded in my chest like a desperate prisoner against the bars, each thump echoing the elevator's descent. The soft hum turned into a low growl, as if the elevator was protesting this journey into the depths. The lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced in the small space, each flicker like a heartbeat in the dark. The air grew colder, an icy chill that seeped into my bones and made my breath come out in small, frosty clouds. The silence was shattered by a guttural sound, a deep, resonating groan that seemed to come from the very bowels of the earth. It was a sound that didn't belong in any cityscape, a sound that echoed of ancient, forgotten caverns and long-lost worlds buried beneath the earth's crust. My fingers scrambled to press the emergency button, but it was as lifeless as the subterranean world I was descending into. The reality of my situation struck me like a lightning bolt. I was trapped, caught in the steel jaws of this rogue elevator, descending into a world that shouldn't exist. A cold dread washed over me as I realized I was trapped. Despite the chill, a bead of sweat trickled down my temple, the only testament to the terror coursing through my veins. The elevator continued its descent into the darkness, into the unknown, carrying with it a single, helpless passenger on a journey into the heart of fear. The chilling encounter in that elevator still lingers in my mind. It's a memory that leaves me with an unshakable feeling of dread. The elevator doors opened onto a world of darkness and silence. An abyss of nothingness stretched before me, a stark contrast to the plush luxury of the hotel above. It was as if the elevator had transported me to an alternate dimension, a void where light and sound ceased to exist. A bone-chilling cold seeped through the elevator's metallic frame, wrapping me in an icy embrace. The silence was so profound that I could hear my own heartbeat drumming in my ears, a frantic rhythm that echoed my mounting fear. The darkness was oppressive, a thick, tangible presence that threatened to swallow me whole. As my eyes adjusted to the blackness, I could make out vague shapes and forms. Towering stalagmites and stalactites loomed like ancient sentinels, their jagged silhouettes barely discernible in the pitch black. The ground was uneven, strewn with rocks and rubble, a far cry from the polished marble floors of the hotel lobby. The air was heavy, laden with the scent of damp earth and decay. It was a smell of age, of time forgotten, a testament to the countless eons this subterranean world had existed in isolation. I could taste the staleness on my tongue, a bitter reminder of my predicament. I called out into the darkness, my voice echoing eerily in the cavernous space, swallowed whole by the vastness of the underground expanse. There was no response, save for the faint echo of my own voice, a chilling reminder of my solitude. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to get back into the elevator, to escape this nightmarish realm. But the elevator stood silent and unresponsive, a monolith of steel and glass that refused to budge. It was as if it had severed its ties with the world above, leaving me stranded in this desolate underworld. I was alone, in the bowels of the earth, trapped in an elevator that didn't belong in this reality. The chilling reality of my situation set in, a wave of despair washing over me. The subterranean world held me captive, a prisoner of the seemingly ordinary elevator that had turned into a gateway to terror. I don't remember how I got out of there, but I did. My voice quivers slightly as I recount the aftermath of that eerie night. The elevator doors eventually opened, releasing me back into the world I knew. But everything had changed. I was a prisoner of my own mind, haunted by the terrifying memory of an elevator ride that defied the laws of reality. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back in that subterranean world of darkness and silence. A world that shouldn't exist, yet it did, in the bowels of a modern high-rise hotel. The trauma followed me, a shadow that refused to let go. Unanswered questions gnawed at me, adding to the lingering fear. What was that place? Why was I taken there? And most importantly, could it happen again? The memory of that chilling encounter still lingers, leaving me with an unshakable feeling of dread. Picture this, a grand century-old hotel, its walls steeped in history and stories untold. I'm Daniel, a history enthusiast, and this is where my tale begins. The hotel was a marvel, a relic from a forgotten era, its grandeur echoing the opulence of the past. Walking through its magnificent lobby felt like stepping into a time machine, a journey back to a bygone time. The vintage charm of the place was captivating, its antique furniture and ornate chandeliers exuding an air of timeless elegance. The hotel was more than just a building. It was a living, breathing testament to the past. But as I would soon discover, it held more than just stories. History was not simply confined to the pages of its guest books or the memories of its aged walls. It was alive, moving in its corridors, whispering through its grand halls. The hotel was home to a presence that was as old as the building itself, a ghostly concierge with a tale to tell. The concierge was an elderly man, his eyes holding a wisdom and sadness that seemed to transcend time. His face was lined with years of stories untold, and his gaze, though frail, was filled with a strange allure that was impossible to ignore. He stood behind the grand reception desk, a figure as timeless as the hotel itself, enveloped in an aura of mystery and melancholy. I approached him, my curiosity piqued. "Good evening," I began, my voice echoing softly in the grand, ornate lobby. There was a faint smile on his lips, a knowing smile, as if he had been expecting me. A shiver ran down my spine, but I shrugged it off, attributing it to the chill of the old hotel. As I asked for my room key, he leaned in closer, his eyes twinkling with an eerie light. His voice, when he spoke, was a whisper barely audible, yet it filled the silence around us with a chilling resonance. "Beware the shadows," he said, handing me the key. his fingers brushing against mine in a cold, spectral touch. I blinked in surprise, taken aback by his cryptic words. "Pardon?" I asked, but he only repeated his warning, his gaze never leaving mine. "Beware the shadows," he said again, his voice carrying a note of urgency that left me unsettled. His words hung in the air, a chilling prophecy that left me with an inexplicable sense of dread. I thanked him and turned to walk away, but his voice stopped me. "Remember," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "not all that is seen is real." As I made my way to my room, his words echoed in my mind, a chilling mantra that would soon unravel into a terrifying revelation. I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling, but the image of the concierge, his knowing smile, his cryptic words, remained etched in my mind, a foreboding prelude to the ghostly mystery that awaited me. His words held a chilling prophecy, one that would soon unravel. As the days passed, the concierge's presence, his cryptic words, began to take a ghostly form. A sense of unease started to creep in like a cold draft slipping under a door. The Grand Hotel, once a beacon of historic charm, began to reveal its spectral side to me. The concierge, once a quaint figure of old-world charm, took on a more ethereal quality. His eyes, holding centuries of wisdom, seemed to stare not at me, but through me. His knowing smile, once comforting, now held a chilling mystery. His every word echoed with an eerie resonance, hanging in the air long after they were spoken. I found myself drawn to him, like a moth to a flame, compelled to unravel his enigma. The hotel guests and staff seemed oblivious to his spectral presence. It was as if I was the only one who could perceive his ethereal essence. The intrigue gave way to fear as I began to piece together the puzzle. The concierge was not just an old man, he was a spectre, a ghost from the hotel's past. His cryptic words weren't just the ramblings of an elderly man, but messages from the other side. The revelation was as chilling as it was fascinating. I was staying at a hotel that served not just the living, but also the spirits of the past. The concierge was not merely a helpful guide, but a spectral sentinel, bound to the hotel by some unspoken tragedy, and then, the most terrifying realization of all. The concierge wasn't just a man, he was a spirit, trapped in this grand edifice, waiting for something he could never reveal. It was an unearthly revelation that sent shivers down my spine, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. The encounter with the ghostly concierge still haunts my thoughts. It's a memory that makes me question the boundaries between the living and the dead. The ghostly concierge, his timeless gaze, and his cryptic prophecy, they still haunt me. It's as though the encounter left a permanent imprint on my soul, a chilling reminder of the uncanny that lurks in the corners of our reality. There's something about the memory that lingers, that refuses to fade away. It's like a ghost itself, constantly flitting at the edges of my consciousness, an echo of a time when I brushed against the supernatural. The concierge's eyes, so full of ageless wisdom and profound sadness, seemed to stare back at me from the abyss of time. His cryptic words, whispered with a knowing smile, continued to send shivers down my spine, a cold reminder of the unknown. The encounter has opened up a realm of questions, a Pandora's box of sorts. What is life? What is death? And what lies beyond? Is there a world parallel to ours where spirits like the concierge are trapped, bound by some inexplicable force? Or is it just our minds, conjuring stories to make sense of the inexplicable, the eerie, the supernatural? The Grand Hotel stands as a testament to these questions, its majestic architecture a bridge between the past and the present. It's as though the hotel itself is a vessel for the concierge's spirit, a purgatory where he's waiting for something that he could never reveal. The encounter with the ghostly concierge changed me. It's not fear, but a profound sense of curiosity that grips me now. I find myself drawn towards the enigmatic, the uncanny, the supernatural. It's a journey into the unknown, a quest to understand the boundaries between the living and the dead. Yet the memory of the concierge remains, a haunting spectre in the corridors of my mind. His cryptic prophecy, his timeless gaze, his ghostly presence, they are constant reminders of that fateful encounter at the Grand Hotel. An encounter that made me question the boundaries between the living and the dead. Thank you all for tuning in to Haunted Lullabies. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Until next time, sweet nightmares.